As they have really earned.
There are very few teams to actually take it to either one of these two rosters. One of them, of course, being Jackpot. And feels like Alliance Rogue, not quite there. At least in the past couple of months, right? Feels like it's these three teams right now, and Alliance Rogue is struggling to find an identity that really works for them. But up next, we'll be taking a look at the other winners semifinal here between that very Jackpot team we were just mentioning and Heller, which is another team that is coming together here. Isaac, Stalk, J Sushi Pony, and Riff Raff is the tag listed on Sendou.ink. So this team of obviously very individually skilled players coming together, and they've been playing together in some form or fashion for some time.
Yeah.
Just probably actually had the ability, and one of the things here too with the SendouQ system, right, is that people can just queue up when they're available, right?
Yeah,
they're able to find matches when they're available. They don't have to sit down, commit to a 4-hour tournament or something. They can just play one match or so with a couple of their friends, with whoever's around. And I think that certainly favored some of these pickup groups like Heller, who have come on back together and now might be continuing to pick up something a little bit stronger in terms of team synergy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure SendouQ is actually helping a lot of these players get that together quite a lot more. It gives them a lot more space to play with, and a lot, like you said, it's a lot less time commitment. On the other hand, it can also be a lot more time commitment, which I'm sure is what these teams actually ended up doing.
Well, it's more time commitment when you look at the broader picture, but like on a per day basis, you play like 2 matches for 2 hours and then you call it, right?
Sure, we can pretend that's what these teams did.
Come on. Probably. That's not what they did every day, but you're not going to play like 6 matches in one day, right?
Sometimes you do. Sometimes you just... Sometimes you sit
kids
down.
Need to do a lot of other things than play Splatoon for 6 hours consistently.
K-Bot, I once played 1,500 hours of Splatoon in like 8 months. I just think you should know that information.
You're wild for that. You're wild for that.
That was the end of Splatoon 2. There was no good reason to play that much. It was just missiles and armor. I just was like that. I
have something like 700 hours in Splatoon 3, where probably the vast majority of those are spectator hours.
Wow, really? You've spectated Splatoon a lot?
I know. Wow.
How many collegiate teams were you coaching this year?
This year, I've sat down with 3 different teams.
Yeah, just a casual 3, and then also coaching Sonder, right?
Yeah, but they're kind of on hiatus right now. So
yeah, but I mean, for a while, you were just actively coaching, like, what is that, 20 people?
Right, something like that.
That was the battle being ended.
Game.
Yeah, no, I was fully ready to wrap up that statement, but I'm just going to point out that you were just, like, regularly coaching 20 people. Along with sometimes being willing to just do it for other people.
Yeah, well,
Gotta do something with your free time. Your whole 2 seconds of it.
Right. In any event, apparently there was a roster issue there. .q is in fact not on Heller.
That would make sense.
We're fixing that real briefly.
You want to trade any players? Jackpot wants all of their players?
I think they do. I think they do.
But, one of the big things here that we don't always bring up when we're talking about this higher level play is that having a 4-player roster is a big deal. Being able to consistently play with the same 3 other players all the time, know exactly what each other are going to do, be the only people you all really play with, makes a huge difference.
And by the way, that's one of the reasons why this Jackpot roster, right, is kind of taken a little bit of a break over the course of the past, month, 2 months-ish, right? And now they're kind of, or maybe the past month is a little more of a less true, right? But certainly like thinking late September, October, didn't really have a lot going on, took a step back and kind of regroup things. Now they're coming back. They're still able to keep up that synergy because they still know how each other wants to play. They still know those general tendencies, and they have that on lock. Meanwhile, I mean, you look at these rosters like Star vs. FD Win, while all the players are familiar with one another, now they have to figure out what their own team identity is. And things like Kyo switching over to that Tri-Slosher is just going to be different. You saw him try to go in alone there at the end of that Inkling game, and it just didn't work because that's not what the Tri-Slosher does.
It can't do that anymore. It did that in Splatoon 2 because it had that burst bomb and armor. It can't really do that anymore. It doesn't have that role anymore. It wants to sometimes. Sometimes you can force it, but it needs a little support from teammates.
Yeah, so we'll see what comes through here as now we head on to this next one. Splat Zone's Eeltail Alley finally comes through, and this is a pick that I was curious to know whether or not we'd see from Isaac. It is that Blobber coming out on the straightforward map of Eeltail certainly makes a little bit more sense.
It definitely does. It's a weapon I think is very interesting. I don't expect to see it played very often. Like, Pika doesn't play it anymore. I don't expect to see it super often. I do really like it, though. I think that it's a really good pseudo-anchor for situations like this, where maybe you don't want a full anchor, but you want something that will hold space really well. And if nothing else, the blob will give you the space you want for at least a little bit, using that rain and using the endless bubbles it throws out.
So we'll see whether or not that's able to keep up the pressure here versus Jackpot. Seems as though Heller able to take control of this zone first, and Jackpot goes one down. That's .Q, and the pencil getting taken out means that tactical rebuff is not going to come online here for Jackpot. Right off the bat, you can tell they're not committing to a play right off the bat because they're waiting for that cooler to come on back online. They're still trying to chip at this zone, trying to keep it neutralized, and now that cooler is going to get sent down there to that left side. You see the dive in from Jared, able to find one, and now looking to the other side of the zone as Axis will be forced to jump away. Jackpot, well done engagement to make control of that zone happen.
Yeah, Crab coming out here from Jared just to make sure they can hold it a little longer. If the other team hadn't been tactical alert, probably would have been a little bit early, but perfect considering the timing. Jared now going to be able to move forward a little bit, playing around this pillow, just trying to find something, able to find Isaac. That's a great pick to find. And we're seeing the machine looking to move forward here, going down to that Stamper though. And Jackpot seems like they're starting to set up a hold here. There should be jumps into .Q to allow them to keep this going.
Yeah, certainly looking to do just that now. 2-down situation. Looks like Heller might be able to take back control here. Bandus getting zoned away, and that cooler wasn't quite able to get reached by some of these members here from Jackpot. Heller trying to keep up the pressure here, but again, that's one of the things with this competition. Feels like they don't have a lot of holding power in a lot of their specials. Sure, they've got a decent amount of engagement, but with things like that Zuka, if it doesn't get a pick right off the bat, it's not going to force the members of Jackpot to stay away. Jackpot's going to be able to run at them with that, Leafy and Jared especially teaming up, or whatever combination of players really, once they get that tactical buff, and it's going to convert a lot of these zones right back to Jackpot.
And on top of that, .Q just gets such incredible sightlines on this map, and now we just see them up in the mix of everything. Not a player we often get to see move up quite this far, but .Q not afraid to, trusting their teammates to be able to hold this space for them until it's time for them to back off. And by being this far forward, they'll be able to put the cooler where their teammates need it even more easily.
Now just a few ticks of the timer left to go here. Heller needs to find an engagement, and they've got the specials to do it. Booyah Bomb coming out to the center of the zone and will neutralize things for a moment. Isaac tries to get that paint down with that blobber, but Jared's trying to zone away some of the members of Heller with that crab take. Now 2 members in this corner, but actually they're able to find the cap. Jared tries to make the dodge roll, but Axis is able to read it and get that punish down. Jackpot will lose control of the zone, but Heller goes 2 down. Leafy's still up here trying to bully away some of these members, and now Jackpot's going to take control of the zone right back despite getting that penalty.
Yeah, Jackpot just took such good advantage of being able to keep 2 players up. Both players that had gone down jumped back in, able to create this very high pressure scenario. We have a crab tank at the ready, a cooler just came out, and we're gonna see just more, like, Jackpot's just good at the pressure part of the game. They know what they're doing, they're able to just play cleanup, and they know how to trust each other in these scenarios.
Booyah Bomb up in the air once more out of Bandits. Gets thrown towards some of these members. Now Leafy tries to find the engagement. Stalk back in the corner this time. Leafy's going to be able to find it with the Zipcaster and now immediately find one onto Isaac as well. That's 2 down now for Heller, and Leafy's going to continue storming forward. Looks like we're seeing a little bit more here come through from Heller. They get the jumps back in, and now they're going to hold the line to this bridge. But they've got to push that line back to the zone, and it looks like it's not going to happen. 2 down once more as Axis tries to dive in, and Jackpot will secure game 1.
Heller put up a good fight, but Jackpot's just such a well-oiled machine. Like, the thing that I always like to emphasize about having an anchor like SendouQ on your team is that you get to have those jump-ins. And when you're having players like Leafy and Jared and Madness just be able to continuously go in with that cooler, having those jump-ins makes a world of difference.
I mean, hey, we were talking about that happening with Alliance Rogue, right? In fact, their entire identity is built around trying to do that exact thing right now. So certainly the strategy is strong, right?
Yes.
And while you might not see that come out with the same level of frequency, it's about that consistency. It's about how safe those jumps are when Jackpot's coming in to do it and then able to come on through. They've got the cooler and they can start teaming up. How many times did you see Leafy and Jared approach a fight from 2 separate angles, making it near impossible for the one player they were targeting to get the kill onto both of them? It sounds like a very basic and simple concept, but when you watch Jackpot do it with this level of consistency, it's no wonder why they're one of the strongest teams we have right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like watching a machine. They know what they want to do. They know when they want to do it. It almost feels like, obviously they're having to comm information, but I'm sure they're having to comm less a lot than even like an F2N or Starburst right now, because they just know what each other want to do more. They're probably just making shot calls that are more major things rather than I'm going to individually do this, because they see what each other are doing and are just able to react.
Yeah, definitely the case. And we'll see whether or not Heller can try to find a response here. Because like I said, right, how are you going to start shutting down this team? It's probably going to be something where you've got, like, I said that the composition is incredibly versatile and can do a lot of things for Jackpot, but at the same time, it feels like I want to see a little bit more holding power out of Heller in general. And that might be more important, or another thing that you could play around here. Maybe not more important, but certainly something you can play around when you go over to Mahi, this tight quarters map. But this thing got reworked recently, right?
Yeah, it doesn't feel that different. Like, it's a little better, but it's not a big rework. It's not like it feels like, you remember Schellendorf's rework in Splatoon 2 and how it was like kind of just not much? It's okay if you don't.
Yeah, Goldfish Brain over here is not.
That's very fair. Computing. It wasn't like, there's a few little blocks that have changed. There are some areas that are a little bigger. It's a little less tight, but it's not like, it's better. They made it better. They didn't change it, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
It's still the same identity of a map. You're still going to be doing those close quarter fights. Crab's still going to be great here. Triple strikes are still going to be great here. It's still going to be a map that sloshers and blasters do great on. Obviously a good vacuum map with Isaac choosing to pull it out there. And we're seeing the same we're seeing Tent out of Leafy again, but this time with the Zuka, which is, I think, a good call. I think that's a little bit better here for them than back.
Seems to be the case, right? Especially when we were just talking about things. What are you going to do to hold, right? What are you going to do to try to challenge when the enemy team is coming back on down? Having the Zuka for the little bit of extra range could be useful, but it looks like Heller might get the first laugh here, because they were able to find a 2-down situation versus Jackpot and continuing to storm forward. Leafy caught off guard, immediately snapped on and turned on by some of the members here of Heller as they are looking forward now.
Yeah, and we're now seeing that vacuum coming out, really going to be able to prevent Jackpot from coming in for a minute, but they're going to have specials to come in with once they do. They do manage to take out Leafy with that vacuum shot, though. That's a huge pick. Madness might go down to this Inkjet, but no, Crab going to be able to fend them off. Not fight, actually. Jared using this Crab incredibly well, though, able to put on a lot of pressure. Leafy looking to move forward with Jared with this tent, really just shutting down this entire right side of the map from Jackpot's perspective.
Starting to come on back in here. Now SendouQ looking for something a little bit more, but here comes that ink back from Isaac, trying to help the team get in a little bit. Doesn't look like it's going to be that successful, though. It was zoned away by a single triple ink strike coming out there. And so now Jackpot will continue to hold on. It's another 2-down situation now for Heller. And Jared might even think about running forward. No, okay, we'll decide to back on away, but Madness will certainly take up that opportunity.
Yes.
Does get punished for it nonetheless. But even still, Jackpot in a really strong position now. Leafy tries to hold out one part of the map. Jared immediately gets shredded here out of the crab tank. But now will drop back away, and even still, it's just a 2-down situation. Madness comes up with one before getting traded away, and he'll stall out enough time for Jackpot to take the zone and count that timer down to 0. One more game for Jackpot to advance.
Yeah, Jackpot, once again, just doing a great job there. Really consistent team, obviously. And just knowing how to play off of each other really well there. They got called out a little bit at the beginning, but they regrouped. They waited out the specials they needed to, and then were just able to hold without much of a fight at all.
Yeah. And I'll say it. Jackpot's the better team, right?
Yeah.
That's not an understatement coming into the day-to-day. Despite the fact, I suppose, that Heller technically has the higher seed because they probably played the SendouQ ladder a little bit more. Jackpot is just so consistent, as we've been continuing to mention it over the course of the day today. And Heller's going to need to make some adjustments here, right, in order to try to limit the effectiveness of what each of these members of Jackpot can do, and hopefully try to not isolate themselves too much either, right? Because that's another thing that Jackpot will do consistently, and these higher level teams will, without question, punish any slight overstep, any slight desynchronization that you've got with the rest of your team, and also know when to ignore some things, like the ink fact that was just completely ignored on that side, right? One strike was thrown at it, and it was basically rendered useless there for a while, with no one else from Heller playing through that ink fact coming out of Isaac. So we'll see if they are able to find any adaptations here, but at this point, it might just be regroup and hope for a better run, hope for a better draw an opponent maybe in the loser's bracket. Yeah,
Jackpot's just a tough team to beat. Like, it would not surprise me at all if Jackpot won all of this. If anything, that's sort of what I expect. Like, don't get me wrong, Starburst and FT Win are fantastic, but Jackpot's kind of on another level lately.
Yeah. I mean, that said, Jackpot did lose to FT Win in 20XX.
That's true. They did.
There's an ounce of weakness. We'll see how trained this Jackpot team is, specifically on zones, moving forward against that very team. But now we're seeing this come on back through. We see that Slosher and triple Ink Strike actually come out here from Heller, changing things up a little bit, hoping to try to pick things out. And once again, getting the first lap is Jared's the first of all. Now Stalk will find one on the Leafy. It feels like just another ounce of just aggression coming in from Heller.
I will say, Heller has had these really, really aggressive openings. That's what they've been doing. That's what they've kind of been focusing on. They just haven't been able to hold and maintain them. But maybe this time will be different. It does seem like they're more able to pick off members coming in on this map. You can easily see where anyone's coming from. They're trying to shut down Madness here. Gonna be able to with that Blob Blobber. They're close to another triple strike. Gonna be able to pop it here, keeping them out of that left side, forcing them to reposition. They've gotten all the way down to almost 50 already. Crab Tank coming out though. Madness gonna be able to call that out. Looking to find a bit more pressure. Triple strikes of their own coming out now. Looking to cap this zone, should be able to. But that was a good solid hold from Heller.
Solid hold from Heller will only end in 3 of them getting taken down. And now we'll see if Jackpot can return the favor. But Madness, once again, steps too far forward and immediately into 3 members of Heller who are going to clean that one up almost instantly. Leafy gets taken down as well. But SendouQ, longest range pencil pick I've seen in quite some time, will come away with 1. But Heller's looking for this re-engagement. Tripling strikes going back to their own stack as Jackpot's trying to regroup back on that area of the map. But even still, Jackpot wins a lot of these firefights, and they'll be able to clean things up. They take the wipeout, now will take back control of the zone.
Yeah, and SendouQ getting ready to get another Tacticaler online for when this one runs out. Madness doing a great job trying to hold that angle and getting chip damage like crazy onto that flat area. Blob Blobber coming out, trying to force Madness out of there. But we see Trip Strikes at the ready. They're probably going to try and move up with him, but Leafy's just out here causing chaos.
They'll be looking for something more, potentially looking to push this flat area now, especially with this zip cast. Immediately turns to find one on the stalk. Not afraid of it. Knows that either that will be the kill or someone else will be able to clean it up. We'll get 2 before trading her life. and now Jackpot in the lead. We see the tripling strikes coming out now for the zone. Axis starts to move forward here with that tactical alert going down, but the Slosher didn't grab it while they were back up there. So now he's trying to just move back into the zone. Approaching from this right side, but Leafy dives right on top of it. It takes care of business. Jackpot nearly putting the exclamation mark on the end of this set. They are coming right now for Starburst.
They are. I mean, it's Jackpot. It's what they do. You might get the opening. You're probably not going to get the game. Heller did have incredible openings consistently, though. I'm going to give them a lot of credit for that. They had great openings.
And we'll say, with some of that openings that you can catch out by surprise or try to mix up what your opponent's doing. Exact same thing that we saw FT Win doing a little bit earlier. I didn't watch the 20XX set myself, but it feels like it would be not out of the ordinary where FT Win could take an early opening advantage and translate it into further success later and later into the game, just due to their overall nature. But Jackpot certainly able to come back, win a lot of those fights, win a lot of those, in Splatoon, you can't necessarily coordinate everything. You can't necessarily plan everything on the X's and O's. But what you can do is once you build up enough confidence, once you build up enough just mental know-how, knowing how to approach these fights on an individual basis with a weapon that you're currently holding, is exactly what Jackpot knows that they can do, and certainly knows how they can do it together and try to coordinate things together.